Hello everyone, my name is Gabe, and I'm one of the doctoral interns at the Counseling Center this year. Today we're going to talk about test anxiety, something that I know very well as a therapist, and also as a previous UC Irvine alumni. Alright, so picture this. You've just studied for your big math exam, and you're walking all over to PSLH to find your seat. The test starts, and suddenly, sometime during the test, your mind goes blank. Your hands may start to get sweaty, you may find it difficult to concentrate, maybe you're shaking your leg a lot. You start to think about, what's going to happen if I don't pass this test? What's going to be for my career? What are my parents going to think if I don't pass this test? How is this happening, you ask yourself? I studied really hard, I stayed up all night, I went to office hours, I talked to my friends about the test, I made flashcards. I don't know why you made flashcards for this test, but that's fine. It's okay. Take a breath. What you've probably just experienced is test anxiety. Test anxiety is a combination of stress and tension that can happen before and during a test. It really impacts our ability to focus on a test, focus on a specific task, and really can impact our confidence in class or just test taking in general. It's a completely normal type of stress to have, especially as a college student or a student in general, and is often something we see at the counseling center. So what do we know about test anxiety? Well, research has told us that it's caused by a lot of different factors. I could go on and on about all those different factors, but today we're going to focus on a couple of common aspects of test anxiety. Among the many causes for test anxiety, today we're going to focus on two of the most common fears that students have for test taking and how to overcome them. These fears are the fear of the unknown and the fear of not doing well. A common fear that tends to spike test anxiety is a sense of not knowing what to expect on an exam. And there are a couple different things that you could do to kind of mitigate these effects. First of all, make the test feel less unknown. Go to office hours, talk to your professor or TA about the upcoming test, or read your syllabus if you haven't already to see what type of format that test will be. And depending on the type of format, it can really help you prepare the types of questions, the types of materials you should study, and how you should be prepared to answer some of those questions. Additionally, while you're talking to your TA or your professor, see if there have been old versions of the test that you could take as practice, again, to get a feel of what to expect on a test. Another really good way to conquer the unknown is to recreate the test-taking conditions as much as you can. If you're taking a test on campus, see if you can actually go to the lecture hall that you'll be taking the test in. Sit in the seat that you'll be taking the test and imagine yourself taking it. Start studying, maybe take a practice exam. This way you'll have a good sense of what it'll feel like to be in the room while you're taking the test. Another common fear that students have is the fear of not doing well in the test. So what do you do if you really fear not doing well on an exam? First of all, know your gaps. Understand where your gaps of knowledge are in the course material for an upcoming exam. If your exam has a study guide, identify specific vocabulary, terms, just areas that you might not know well, and mark it. And once you have a clear idea of things you don't know, study them. Focus on them a little bit more. Another tip for overcoming that fear of not doing well is to identify the reason why you're afraid of not doing well and actually writing them down or speaking them out loud. A function of anxiety, especially test anxiety, is that we have thoughts and worries that just kind of circulate in our head and swim around. And sometimes what we need to do is kind of release them. That can either be through writing them down, saying them out loud, or other ways of release that feel comfortable to you. And those are just a couple of things you can do to kind of counter the anxious thoughts in your head that impact your test taking. Lastly, here are a couple of recommendations for you to practice before and during a test. First of all, eat well. Make sure you're eating healthy the day before and the day of your test. If you're someone that finds themselves a little bit jittery after drinking caffeine, maybe decrease the amount of caffeine you're drinking the day of the test, or not drinking any at all. On that note of caffeine, make sure you get enough rest the day before the test. Sleep is highly related to memory retention, so if you get a consistent 8 hours of sleep throughout the week, or at least good sleep, you're able to memorize and retain some of the studying materials that you've been probably studying the entire week. And lastly, start practicing relaxation techniques. Relaxation techniques such as mindful breathing or other breathing exercises can be really helpful to practice right before a test to help ground you, or during a test. If you find yourself losing concentration or worrying too much during a test, see if you can practice some mindful breathing. We have a lot of videos and scripts on mindfulness techniques and mindful breathing on the Counseling Center YouTube page, so I highly recommend you watch those and start practicing some of those techniques. Know that the experience of test anxiety is completely normal, and there are ways to treat it, both using some of the techniques I talked about or coming to the Counseling Center for treatment. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube page, like this video, and maybe comment down below some of the strategies that you have for overcoming test anxiety. And for those of you watching this video right before a big test, maybe sitting in PSLH, take a breath, close your eyes, ground yourself. You studied for this test, you watched a really great video, you got this. Thanks for watching.